Hi, everybody. Thank you so much and good morning. We're super excited to be here and to talk to you a little bit more about what we do concerning data and diversity. So, Britt, do you want to do a quick intro and then we'll get into it?
Of course. Good afternoon, everyone. Fantastic to be here. We're going to talk to you a little bit today about our agency, and we'll start with this first slide who we are. So, a turnkey boutique agency focused on retail technology. We build custom solutions that match people to product in innovative ways, which includes experiences for this newly inclusive marketplace that we're very excited about. To do this, we leverage our community, Women of Color Worldwide, as a social organization where we curate events and provide opportunities for women of color that permeate this space and bring a wealth of knowledge, diversity, and new experiences to the retail industry.
Absolutely. So, a lot of times, I think when we hear data and diversity, we often just think it's about race. And what we're trying to do with our organization is to show that diversity covers a myriad of attributes and consumer behaviors. As a result, we have a phrase called diversity of thought. So, when we're challenging brands and retailers to kind of think more about diversity in an inclusive way, we don't just mean as it relates to skin tone or your ethnic group. We mean basically how people think, consumer behaviors, the desires people have to shop, how they want to consume products, where they want to be in the marketplace, and how they are represented. As a result, some of our interests are women of color shopping behaviors, social shopping, fit tech, of course, beauty technology, personalization, and community development. Because we work across the retail sectors of beauty and fashion and various other things, we're really concerned about matching people to products successfully. To do that, we understand that collecting data and analyzing data, we have to think in a more diverse and inclusive way. Awesome. So, Britt, did you want to say anything about some of those things that we have going on, or I can go to the next slide if you're ready?
No, we can go to the next slide.
Okay, cool. So, we have a very particular method on collecting our data. We believe in taking an approach that I learned during my time in tech. So, I used to work as a product manager, and one of the things that we did really well was agile development. And agile development consisted, obviously, of including the voice of the consumer in everything that we're doing, making, and creating so that our services, products, or solutions are completely customer centric. So, to do that, we like to develop personas and archetypes, even in fashion and beauty. The reason why we find this so important is because the modern consumer is changing, especially as it relates to women and women of color. There's so many interesting cultural attributes, norms, behaviors, personalities, and nuances that in order to create better products and experiences, we have to capture that information. We do so in a way through research, and we do qualitative and quantitative research. We like to take the two prong approach because data is great, but it definitely depends on the diversity of your data and the wealth of data that you have. So, while getting demographic information is super important and it's really awesome, we also like to hear the voice of the consumer. One of the things that we tell our clients is that consider that you're dating the consumer and that there's somebody who has a lot of options. So you want to take time to get to know them, understand their little nuances, understand things that make them tick so that you can be in relationship with them. In order to be in relationship with your customer, your consumer, you absolutely have to listen to them. And there's so many opportunities to be able to listen. But once you're listening, you absolutely want to collect that data in the right way so that you can begin to make better, more informed decisions. So we take all the data that we collect, both in a qualitative sense and a quantitative sense, and we use that to create custom solutions. Because there's so many different women of color in the world shopping and having massive spending power, we absolutely want to make sure that we're always surveying them and we're always listening to them so that we can continue to build better experiences overall. Now, this is super important to us when we're thinking about diversity. We're not just considering, again, that, hey, we're going after women, Indian women who like to shop for this specific thing. We're going after women with certain behaviors who are engaging in products on certain channels, who have very specific needs. And sometimes that runs across different ethnicities. So it's not just enough to say, hey, we're looking to cater to Black women, or we're looking to cater to South Asian women or Eastern European women. You really have to understand those behaviors. And by researching in the method that we do, we're able to understand in a very deeply connected way exactly how to appeal to these customers and consumers and how to create better experiences for them. So it's really our goal to match shareholder and stakeholder value. We view that as true sustainability. In our organization, we view sustainability as having a balanced supply and demand chain. And we know how difficult that can be in industries such as fashion or beauty, where you're creating without the voice of the consumer in mind. By including the voice of the consumer in what we do, we're always considering them and we're always finding a way to be actually sustainable. Some of the issues that fashion has as it relates to matching people to product and having true sustainability is $62 billion of returns every year due to something like fit, or $50 billion of dead inventory. These are things that we can resolve by figuring out what the needs of the customer is and sending that up the supply chain so that we're making more informed decisions under design and how we market, how we merchandise, where we're putting products, and exactly how we speak to the consumer. So this is something that's super important to us that we like to integrate. And again, the reason why we focus on women is because women drive about 70 to 80% of household purchasing. So if you can really understand the needs of diverse groups of women, we can absolutely understand the needs of households and better serve them. How do you feel about that, Britt?
I completely agree, Jessica. I think you did a fantastic job of laying that out. And in addition to that household consumption and spending, we also know that specifically in the US, 40% of households are led by women as the highest earner or as the sole income provider. And so, focusing on this demographic, understanding the drive in consumption and spending power, and then the layer of how household complexions look in this newly inclusive environment, and then taking it a step further within the beauty and fashion space, understanding how some of those patterns look differently across different consumer groups and different groups where women self-identify, whether it's through cultural relevance or social norms or networks that are important to them, we can make some of those more informed decisions about how she would like to shop and balancing shareholder and stakeholder value and supply and demand within the marketplace, which is super important as retailers continue to try and create more value and profitability.
So, just to be clear, we really want to emphasize that through the type of research that we do, and I'll actually back up so we can see it again and we can all take a look at that slide. Through our informed way of doing research through archetype development, it's really important that we have unique group segmentation as it relates to the type of customer that you're serving. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but I'll just go over it, so no worries. Group segmentation is super important because often with fashion and beauty, there's arbitrary segmentation. So when you think about the old school Victoria's Secrets customer, they might have said things like, oh, well, she likes to shop here and she makes this amount of money and, she has this size bra and she loves the vacation and all of these things that sound really great, but they don't tell you enough about the customer and the customer needs. They're not telling you how they like to shop. Are they more mobile focused? They're not telling you who their influences are. Are they watching YouTubes and fashion hauls, or are they getting their influences from people in their neighborhoods and towns? They're also not really telling you too much about their fit needs, their size needs, their preferences. All of these things are super important when you're thinking about the diversity of data. Data can give you so much information that's great, but if you're not asking the right questions and collecting the right information, you're pretty much probably going to create the wrong experience. And we can see that in how many brands struggle to really connect authentically with their customers and how many brands have to catch up. So one of the things that we're super keen on doing is making sure that we help brands and retailers understand matching and people the product through true diverse methods, diversity of thought, diversity of data collection, and proper analysis that really helps us to develop unique archetypes. So, with that, we want to thank you so much for chatting with us, and we're totally open to questions and would love to talk to you more.
Thanks so much, Brittany and Jessica. We've got lots of questions for you. First of all, I mean, we've probably obviously got lots of people, lots of retailers watching today. What would your advice be to a retailer that's maybe not accessing as diverse a customer as they want? Perhaps they've got a good following with one group of people, but they feel like they're just not reaching other customers. What would your advice be for them to grow a more diverse audience base while maintaining that authenticity and that identity that they've cultivated in one area?
Absolutely. I think the first thing you need to do is identify exactly the type of additional diverse customers you want to attract and then have them represented in some way. Even if that means going out to talk to them or, scanning the internet to see how are these people engaging with products similar to yours? What is it that's missing in the process? The most important thing you can do is form a relationship with these groups of people by listening, collecting data, and having proper representation. And don't just limit when I think a lot of brands say, okay, well, we don't have enough Asian people shopping. That's not specific enough. You need to know exactly outside of overarching race categories, exactly the type of shoppers that you appeal to, and then do a deep dive to find them in the community. Find their community shepherds, or people that they're more likely to be influenced by, people that they follow, so that you can bring in those groups, listen to them, and then take those pieces of data and make better informed decisions.
And one thing I'll just add to that would be don't be afraid to ask. I know that right now there are several conversations happening about data and privacy. And so many retailers are sometimes hesitant to open up that dialogue or start those conversations. But you'll be surprised once you ask your consumer what they're interested in, how to better serve them, how to create a better experience, how much they'll divulge about their experience, their identity, and the kinds of experiences that they want to see in store and online. And leaning into that will be fantastic for your brand.
Excellent. We've got lots of questions coming in from viewers today as well. One for you asks, are a lot of leading multinational companies using diversity data to lead their company decisions, or is this still unusual? And how can we ensure that big brands are keeping all of their customers in mind, not just a select few?
Absolutely. I think it's still a bit unusual, but I think what's going on is the numbers are proving that by not actually appealing to a diverse group of consumers, you're losing a lot of money. And I think what brands are doing sometimes is scrambling to appeal when they can to various ethnic groups, which is great, as it's good to be informed, but we have to do it in a more sincere way where it's beyond things just about race or gender. We have to really get into understanding needs of consumers as they are just as humans, and what are their particular nuances and behaviors that should be catered to so that we can make sure we include them into a new process where maybe they've been marginalized or excluded. And I think that to do this, brands just have to put on a different type of hat when they're thinking about inclusivity. Oftentimes, we know how uncomfortable it can make people to talk about race or diversity. They automatically assume it's about one thing, or, it turns performative, or it's about pity. None of that has to exist. Taking a realistic approach to understanding that the modern consumer is super diverse, and then identifying which groups of these consumers fit better with our products is probably the best way to go. And, try a little design thinking, engage with the people in your community and really see what those needs are. And I think that brands, multinational brands and retailers can have an opportunity to get this right over the next few years.
Excellent. Thank you both so much for joining us, Brittany and Jessica.
No problem. Thank you.